Can I say this first of all? I was like, is Ty ever coming home? Like you were
I
gone
was
for like months, it seemed like.
I was gone for 7 weeks, and I'll
7
be honest,
weeks.
guys, I would still be there if I could. Um, I have a girlfriend who actually is a I met through Morning Mindset with Ty, who came over after my birthday and has been there now for 57 days.
Are you serious?
I
So
love this guy.
can I
Yeah.
just say can I
Mhm.
just say that you're like the third person who has said if I could stay I would. Wherever they were, if it was out of the country, if it were somewhere in the Caribbean, it's like I just if I could stay, I would just stay.
I
I
mean,
just
I
wouldn't
think
come back.
there's something happening, and the reality is, I think that. Do you have the echo too, or is it me?
I don't have an echo.
As long as you can hear me, okay. But oh, now it's gone. Um, I This ain't it.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. I think
This
that there
ain't
has been a seismic shift in the way that we are not only looking at our lives, but I think in the way that we're looking at things that are going on around us.
it.
And I think for the first time, we are realizing what's always been true, and that is that we have options. I do believe that now we've gotten to a place that we realize what's been all around us the whole time, and that's that we have options. I don't think
We
if
have options, and honestly, like I said, the way that we have been operating here in the US, um and it's from a conscious level. It's like about consciousness, it's about spirituality, it's about understanding and connecting with, humans on a different level. We have it all wrong here.
yeah,
We have it
completely
all wrong
wrong.
here. And I think, living in a capitalist society where we have access to so much, and where so much is afforded to us, and we desire so much outside of ourselves, it is taking us to a far it's taking us off the deep end. And then for those of us who desire something deeper and more connected, I honestly feel out of my element here in the States a lot. I
It's
feel
so
out of
I
Yeah.
cannot tell you how. Well, first of all, let me say this. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this is I know it's National Women's Month. And I know, and I've said this to a number of people that I've already spoken to, and that is, I think it is so important that we educate ourselves about how much we as women have contributed to history, to society, to just the goodness of being human, right? But also for me, I just felt this overwhelming desire to
Mhm.
connect more on a personal, in
Mhm.
my face, in my circle kind of
Mhm.
way. And so I thought, well, what can I do to bring that bigness down to where I see it, I feel it, that there is
Mhm.
something impactful that I do? And so I thought, what I want to do is any woman that I've met, ran across, that has made an impact on me, I
Mhm.
want to let them know it personally so that if they are depleted, if they're not full, if they need to
Woo.
reset and realize, here I am thinking, I'm not doing shit out here in these streets. I had no idea I had affected someone in that way. And so I created a list of people that I wanted to say that to their face. And you were there and you don't even know. And let me tell you, now you and I met when you came and did the show. We interviewed you on our show, the DL Hughley Show Uncut. And my first thought was, who the hell is this goddess walking in here? Now, I'd seen you before, like doing various things, because God knows you have done it all in beauty and editing, just like you've been everywhere. We know that. But to see you in person, you are a goddess. Let me give you that right off the top.
I love you back,
But
guys.
I started following you and I saw you were doing morning mindset. Now, I am a true Scorpio to the bone. Everything that happens to me happens in secret. And we keep it all in the cave. I never let my slip show. I don't do it. But I
Right.
started watching you, and you would see me, be like, "Hey, Jazz." I'm like, "Oh, hey, she saw me. Let me get out of here." It was, you know how it is when you playing that role, that facade of I'm strong. I don't need anything. And when you invited me, I was terrified because I was like, now I'm going to have to show some of the cracks that I'm feeling. But what I
Mhm.
began to do was follow you, as I've noticed now that you have this movement that
Mhm.
started out small and now it is huge. And so I know I'm talking a lot, but I think it's important that I say this because then I'm going to give you the floor. But I want you to know this woman to woman is really about you and so many other women like you that I personally want to give you flowers to say, thank you. You came in not knowing that I needed something, and you were asking me to come on and break bread with you, so to speak, a spiritual
Mhm.
bread. And it was more what I needed than what
Mhm.
you needed me to do. I needed to say out loud that I'm not all together. Don't let all this right here, for this it's some shitty stuff going on over here. And
Yes.
I needed a place to say it, and you don't know, but you gave me that opportunity. And as I've watched Morning Mindset grow, and I've watched the journey of some of the women who follow you. And, I know it started out with the Iyanla Van Zant reading, and then it became these retreats. And I saw that you'd been traveling to gear up for. And I suffer from, it's not debilitating anxiety, so I'm not going to call it that, but I do have anxiety, but I desperately want to climb and hike with you so bad to the top. But girl, the way my panicky is built in me, but I'm
Mhm.
working on that. But I said I have to have her on so I can say to her, to her face, Tai, I think that you are fucking phenomenal. And I'm
Oh,
so glad that we may not be besties, although we are close friends in my head, because I know when I need to reset, I can watch morning or listen to Morning Mindset. I got my brown girl Jane. I be rubbing it on and, sipping on it, all that. And so I'm going to give you the floor, but I wanted to give you your flowers first. So,
oh.
and
Jazz.
I mean that. And you don't even know that. You think I'm just out here not thinking about you, girl. You be all in my head. I'd be like, now what would Ty do?
But I'm so grateful because like you, it's so like you. Thank you first and foremost. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When I met you, and I think I shared this with you when I first met you, when I come in to do the show, obviously I knew you too, and I was always enamored. One, I think I've had a thing for radio hosts.
Hmm.
I've had a thing because being able to talk, and now we have all these podcasts and what have you, but people who are like, I don't want to say OGs, but like who know how to host radio. It's a thing. I think about you. I think about Egypt, you know,
Mm-hmm.
who is my sister friend and love her. And she actually came on Morning Mindset recently with her husband Mike, and they're going to Bali in a week, which is like crazy. So I'm like giving her all these guides for things for her to do. Um, but I knew you too, and I think the reason why I was always enamored and taken by you was because to sit next to DL is no easy feat.
It is not.
And I don't mean it in a negative way. I just mean it, you have to be on your stuff. You have to know, and people don't understand sometimes in the society and world we live in right now where everyone's a personality, everyone's an expert, everyone has a voice, and they do, and I'm not minimizing that. But sometimes with that, people forget the skill and the talent
Mm,
that it really takes to do that work on that level
right.
over and over again, day out and day out. And because also you're beautiful. So I always was drawn to you. And when we finally met, I was like, I'm so happy we're finally meeting. And I'm grateful and thank you for sharing. And you want to know what? That is what you shared. The flowers that you just gave me from you are the flowers that I'm coming to appreciate and feel um, more regularly. And I am so grateful for it because, like you said, I got my shit too. You know, Interestingly enough, we're talking right now, but another dynamic woman who is more seasoned than both of us, but incredible former magazine editor, Time Inc. Essence, writer, author, Benilde Little,
Mm.
creator of the Good Hair, and The Itch, was at my house this morning and last evening. And she's from Newark, and we just kind of vibe because we're Newark girls who get each other, and that whole thing. And you know, I also am in the process of working on something that actually brings women together even more,
Oh my
and
God.
talks about sisterhood. because it's my heart space, right? And like you, when I pause with my sisters, woman to woman, whether or not it is someone I know super intimately or just being able to have a vulnerable, real talk conversation, we stand taller.
Hmm.
And so that's why the other thing, like when women would talk about historically being catty and running, I can't deal with her. She's the. A, we stand taller. There is nothing like being affirmed by a woman. That's why the world is in existence, period. Because
Exactly.
we created it. And so I receive that, and I am truly like a girl's girl, even though I'm a guy's girl at times. Like I can be
That's
a guy's,
me. I think that's
yeah.
another reason why we click the way that we do is because, listen, I can hold my pinky up and sip that wine, or I can chug the beer with the best of them. You want to
Hey,
play pool or you want to play chess, what you want to do.
what
But
we
I
doing today?
think, but I feel like sometimes we can spend so much time building things that we forget about the importance of just connecting on a very human level. And I don't have to tell you, which is what I was trying to say in my fumbled state that morning on morning mindset with you, that I and it was my first time ever being honest, not just with other people, but to myself. Because they say it's sometimes easier to know a thing than it is to say it out loud. And to be able to say out loud, having never said it before, that sometimes I'm scared, and sometimes I feel like I'm on an island all by myself, and as much as I don't want to be on the island, I'm building fences to ensure that I stay here. And I don't want to do that. And so I was like, I don't want to feel like I'm too good or too far along in my career to reach out and say, it would be nice to have a sisterhood. That's why I'm excited to hear that you're building something or working on something where we bring women together, and not to show off who has the best shoes or, oh, who's got the longest lashes, but to really say, I want to come in my pajamas. I want to come in pajamas and drink mimosas and talk, and I don't want to cry over no dude. I don't want to cry. I want to laugh and jump up and down and play like I did when I was 12, back before life began to seep in and responsibilities. And, all I cared about was how me and my best friend gonna dress today. Are we gonna look cute and what we gonna giggle about? And I think those things we've forgotten a little bit about how important that is.
And I think just to be light, just to actually be light, because as we said, there are so many things that are so heavy, and it's so interesting because people think I'm a lot younger than I am, and it's not just an aesthetic. I realize it's my energy because I do light things like that. When I go outside here and I see one of those little lime scooters, and I want to go around to the stores on in my area, I instead of walking, I hop on that Lime scooter. And I think it's having those moments for us to, like you said, lean into joy in simple ways and in childlike ways that really kind of help us to get back to our humanity, because it is
Yes.
in them. It's like once we put all the layers and all those things, and I get it. And I also wanted to say thank you for trusting me with sharing your truth and being vulnerable with me. And you didn't fumble. You said exactly what you were meant to say. There was no fumble because no, I mean,
I did. I came away. I was like, oh my God, I didn't make any sense. She's probably like, never play that chick back again.
you're more than welcome
Like,
anytime.
what
I
was
would
she
love, and
talking about?
as you launch these, maybe you should come in so that way we can direct people to listen and see and view what you're doing here. I I just, let me just tell you, my girls, as someone who is in the process of working toward relationship, and I like to phrase it that way because I'm not even owning the single narrative. And I also have to say, I have suffered in the past from anticipation as well. And I suffer from anticipation now. I stopped calling it anxiety. I had to say that God is saying to me that I'm anticipating something. And what am I
Mm.
anticipating? I had to flip it on its head because
Huh.
every time I said anxiety, I felt it. And I said, "Oh, this is anticipation. God, what you doing?" I was
That's
like,
a good way to look at it.
You're up to something. What do I need to anticipate? And how do I settle and calm my anticipation and trust and know and just be here?" And I'm not saying it always works. I'm not saying it always works because I too, at a year ago, a little more than a year ago, it was debilitating for me.
Mm-hmm.
Having Actually, I will never forget, Jazz, when we talk about, and that's when it was anxiety. When I started to change the narrative for me, And when I also started, being very, very active and committed to my CBD drops with Brown Girl Jane, and doing other things, and stopped drinking coffee as much and all that other stuff, it started to shift. But I had to get on medication for a period of time,
Mm.
because I was literally going. I would be having for real panic attack meltdown, and then going live, not on morning
Oh,
mindset, not a morning mindset. It was actually, there was one morning mindset, and God knows I don't even want to call it out, because I actually did this one in partnership with a major brand. But 5 minutes before I went on, I was in full tears, heart palpitations.
yes.
But going back to this woman to woman, I was with my girlfriend Kimmy. Um, we were in Miami, and I called my boyfriend at the time. I called him and I was like, I don't know, I'm freaking out. Like, I don't know. And somehow or another, and this is the gotcha, somehow or another, I I got myself together enough to go on and do this live with a celebrity for 30 minutes, and got off. And I thought to myself, it wasn't the anxiety attack that was the issue. The issue, I realized, was me pushing through.
Yes.
The issue was me not saying, like, the anticipation that you have right now is too high for you to actually be anywhere, to be present anywhere. And that is actually what I want to remedy for us as Black women, especially. This need to always feel like we have to push through rather than just be. And I know that a lot of us struggle with it. We struggle with it when we talk about our families. We struggle with it when we talk about our jobs. We struggle with it when we talk about it even for ourselves. Who am I supposed to be? Like, what, like all of those things, all of
It's
those things.
true.
And I'm just, and I think becoming more seasoned, and it started to happen around 44, but now at 45, I am so clear. And it's not because it's always right. It's not because I always feel great. It's not because I don't have moments of anticipation. I still do. Um, However, I'm just like, what do I need to do? What must I do? What should I not do? And when is it time for me to be still?
Yeah,
Um,
it's so funny. I think that the moment for me that clicked that I and let me say this, these types of things, this whole woman to woman thing, I do plan to extend it. I wanted to see what it would feel like. I wanted to see if people would answer the call. And it really for me was also an opportunity to throw my ego down and say, okay, just ask. Because all the people that I've met, I don't want to say pride in myself because that sounds so crazy, but I've always been happy to meet people and then I just move on. And I had never and for me it wasn't about not wanting to make the connection as much as I didn't want to come across as, what does she want? Or here she is trying to
exactly.
connect with me. I'm like, it really isn't that. It's just that, you want to when you begin to ascend, you realize the air is thin up here. And you realize you want to be surrounded by like-minded individuals who move at least in the same direction that you move and use the same kind of oxygen that you need in order to stay there. And so for me it was really about connecting but I was too afraid because I was like, I don't want them to think of me in a particular way. But I really had been thinking about this and I was like, I need this just as much as somebody else may need it. And that is that connection. And I think about things, I am, a product of the foster care system. I was adopted, so I did not know my birth mother until I was in my 30s. But now both my birth mother and my adopted mother, have moved on. And I find myself at times like, you know, I wish I had someone to call and talk to about, am I having hot flashes? What's this feeling? Why can't I lose this weight? Like, or
Yeah.
should I be concerned about that? I'm a woman of a certain age, although I'm still fabulous.
Of
I'm
course, of
single? Should
course.
I? Just those kind of conversations that creep up that you want to have. And I began to realize that, with all of this work that I'm doing to ensure success, to hopefully, help somebody else out, have I also taken the time to work on building meaningful relationships around me so that when I need them, that they are there. And I realized that I hadn't. And I was like, that's where this came from. And I started thinking about I really want to connect. Not saying that, I have to talk to somebody every day, but just knowing that that connection is there. And I said, well, damn, if I'm feeling this way, there has to be other people who feel the same way.
Yeah, there are so many, and morning mindset with Titan, the hike and experience in particular. And now we host the hike and experience here in LA once a month, the first Saturday of every month. We have our hike this coming Saturday. I know that you said you're not ready. If you decide to push through, or to show up, if it's on your heart, I will walk with you.
You will walk with me.
I would walk
What
with
if my
you.
palms get sweaty? I'm not even gonna speak that. I won't speak
Yeah,
that.
no, but if they did get sweaty, we just I have give you some hand sanitizer.
Yeah. If I
And
start to panic and I start, okay, I can do it.
if you decide, and if that works, but that's exactly what this experience is about. We have had women with cerebral palsy. I've had women who have, are on a weight loss journey, who have never hiked before. We have people of all fitness levels and all ages. One woman, Miss Elise, probably has been to 6 hikes. She flies in from Washington, D.C. Rashawn Ali has come in from Atlanta.
Wow.
We have people that fly in regularly from Houston, from Ohio, from Atlanta, from Jamaica. We've had people come as far from London. And what I was going to say, this idea of connection, because it is different when we become more seasoned, when the things that, like you said, we don't want to have to talk about the eyelashes and the makeup. Like, I look, I took these off on the Zoom yesterday, and they still sitting there. Look, yesterday I was
And
on the Zoom.
then
Damn it, these damn lashes, I don't want them right now.
I
And
put mine in my truck on the side, little handle,
they just
lashes for days.
just sitting there. Anyway, my housekeeper knows to leave them there. But we want to connect more meaningfully. And so a large part of the hike and experience actually are what we call sister circles. So I actually create sister circles, you know, at the top of this experience for women to actually develop more of these deeper. So many people feel like this. We have been, and even as we evolve, it's like, who really knows me? Who really sees me?
Yes.
And how show up as this new person without feeling like they're thinking about who I was or who I wasn't, and show up in this space. And sometimes it takes, having mirrors that aren't necessarily the mirrors that know you so well, or
Yeah.
have a history with you, and connecting in a different way. And I know that being a connector for me, and a collector, because I enjoy collecting people too,
I think
because
that's
it's not,
beautiful though. I think that's
I
beautiful. And I think when you think about what a collector does, when you collect things that have value for one reason or another, and typically, that whoever is into that, whether it's books or art or rocks or coins, you draw that. And I think our experiences, because that's all we are, is some of our experiences, and you evolve from that, you learn from that, and you move. And I just love what you are doing. And I wanted to tell you that because I think, again, we focus so much on the big things, building the big buildings, and we don't think about, but it's the tiny things that make that building a home. It is the smaller things. So are you connecting on a personal level that has nothing to do with, like I said, what you have on, or what you do for a living, or what zip code? It has nothing to do with that. It is human heart to heart interaction, where I am saying to you, even though at times I feel like as women, we are constantly under attack. If I see one more freaking podcast telling me what is wrong with Black women, I swear, or just women in general, I'm
I
going to
can't.
break something. I'm like, stop analyzing us. We're fucking fine. There's nothing wrong with us. Leave us alone. But I feel like fighting whatever it is that we're feeling on the inside, it's good to know and good to see. And I needed you to know that it's not going unnoticed. I see it. Am I able to join every morning? No. But it makes me feel good knowing I know you're doing it. And I know that there is somebody out there who is also thinking like me, how can we do more work where we're pulling each other together, understanding that when you boil this all down, we've all been through a lot of the same shit. You know what I
Yep.
mean? You could call it a different name. You could say their dress pants, their jeans, their joggers. They go on your legs. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter what you call them. And so I feel like, as women, as Barbara and Shirley said, listen, woman to woman,
Woman,
I think we need to have more of that. And so I'm gonna try to do the hike. I'm
yeah,
telling you,
when you're ready, when you're ready,
I
when you're
want to
ready.
do it.
And so when you're ready, I will walk with you. And that's what the woman that's also the difference about how we show up as women, and black women especially. Because and you're right. So when I hear like that negative chatter about who we aren't, don't tell me who I'm not. Know who I am. Recite who I am. Let me show you who I am. And like I say to the young kids about, me showing up professionally, I'm like, listen, the receipts are long and thick.
That
My
part.
receipts are both long and thick. And so with that, like, don't tell me who I'm not.
And also,
See
don't
who I
forget,
am.
I'm from New Jersey.
Newark. Newark.
Newark, Newark. That's
Newark.
different. That's
Like,
different.
I always like, look, like that was so funny because that was I remember when Gio was like, "So where are you from?" And I think he was trying to think I was going to say. I was like, "Newark." He was like, "Newark, New Jersey, the French Quarter of Newark, New
Dig
Jersey,
it.
honey."
Brick City,
So,
baby. Don't you forget it.
bring it, baby. So know that she will bring it too. She will bring it if you have. So
Period.
don't tell me who I'm not. See who I am, and I think that's the thing. The way that we show up as women, when we put down the guard, when
Hmm.
we release all of the other veils and the things that people have placed on us. And
Yeah.
that's the other thing that I realized. So much of who we try and show up as are based upon the things that people have placed on us, the title. When you're assigned the title of daughter, when you're assigned the title of this job, when you're assigned the title of the bitch, when you like we and then we show up as that.
Yep.
Well, don't place a title on me. And and I think that, again, we're living in a beautiful time in the sense of there is a rising consciousness where people are really looking to connect more deeply with who they are. And so in that connection, I don't have time for all your fake adornment. I don't want it.
Right.
I don't want your fake adornment. I don't want your fake, your jewels, or I don't, because that's not really what suits me. And I'm here to walk different. That's and that I've known all my life. And I also believe that my ability to do so, and I'm not always good at it. I'm not always good at it. I just shared super vulnerably, the anxiety that I felt. I'm also, like, as you said, a woman of a certain age who now is really ready to lean into relationship and thinking differently about a lot of the things that I had accepted as truths about who I thought I was, but now
Mm.
realize that those are not necessarily the facts and the truth of spirit. And having to reconcile that, like, it's a journey. Being an entrepreneur and a woman running a business and now multiple businesses for 17 years, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I speak very transparently about what it's like when you're building business and having to pay people and still make it look good and show up. Like, there are so many different things, and I'm comfortable at this point with sharing my truth. Other people may not be, but that's not my problem.
But I will tell you this. And this sounds, it's funny because I can remember a time when I would say things like, oh, I don't want to sound like my mama, or I don't want to sound like my grandma. But now I kind of like that there are things that sound familiar to me that they would say, because I realize it's not saying anything negative. It is showing the growth in me. And so
Mm,
now I'm proud to say, listen, I am not a perfect individual. There's
mhm,
nothing about me that's perfect. And I used to be concerned about that because
mhm,
of the titles, whether
mhm.
someone thinks that, you look a certain way. Oh, you're so this or that. And now all of a sudden you feel like you got to sit different. Or I remember, guys that I've dated in the past, when they meet you, they're meeting the titles that they've read, or the titles, as you would say, that they've assigned you. And then they hear that deep belly laugh that I got, that I don't hold back for nobody. I got that from my mama,
Oh,
honey, and it is
oh.
true. It is what it is. It was funny, so I was laughing. I don't know why it's a problem. And now he wants to know, why you laughing so loud? Because it's funny. How come
Yeah.
you're not laughing is the question. And so there used to be a time that I would chip away at those nuances about myself that I never really felt self-conscious about, but I felt, well, if I want to keep this relationship, or
Yeah.
if I want people to still look at me like she's
Mm,
professional. And
mm,
so I would make sure that I sat a certain way, or I made sure that, listen, when you introduce me, can you make sure that you say this, 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 and this? And
mm.
now I'm like, please don't say all of that. Just
That
get to it. I'm here. Jasmine is here. That's all. Just she's here. And the reason I'm here, the credentials already spoke for themselves. That's why you invited me. So
are long and
all
thick. Already
this
done.
yeah, like all this preamble, you don't have to do that for me. Just let everybody know I'm finally here. I'm on time. Point me in the direction. Where's the microphone? I'm ready. And I felt what that did for me, it also allowed me to untether myself from
Hmm.
this person that had been carefully crafted. And I
Hmm.
cannot tell you the amount of, whew,
Mm.
thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
That was heavy. I
Yeah.
didn't realize I was carrying that. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you must feel the same way because your girl, your credentials are way longer than mine.
No, no, and I have felt that way at different times, and that's what I was going to ask you. Like, did you feel that way because of one? I think specifically the industry that we've worked in, where the aesthetic and the posture and all of that, the pomp and circumstance of it all was something that we felt like. So you feel like it was industry specific that helped to really design that too, or
Oh,
do you feel?
without a doubt. Let
Yeah.
me tell you something. When I first started in radio, um, first of all, they were like, it was so many things about me they wanted to change. Because I was blessed enough to go to school, to graduate, and immediately get a job like in my field in 2 weeks.
Wow.
However, it wasn't given to me. I,
Yep.
I went and lied at the bursar's office and said, listen, I need my cigarettes. I don't even smoke. But they would give me that money. I said, I lost money in this machine. They would reimburse me. I'd take that, put it in my car, drive to Nashville every day for almost 2 weeks and sit in the lobby at a radio station. And I was like, y'all gonna hire me. I'm good. You don't know me. No, I don't have a resume. I don't have any of that. What I have is talent. Hire me. I forced myself into my first job.
Wow.
Now, with that, what I was not anticipating was all of the changes they wanted to put on me because at that time, a woman of a certain age, this was in the 90s, and they were like, okay, this is when radio liked women without such heaviness in their voice. They wanted me to talk up here and whisper. And
Wow.
I tried that. I tried to fit in that box and started to get polyps on my vocal cords. Because they were like, why are you talking up here? I was like, because that's, I didn't want to say that's what they wanted. So, yeah, the way I would show up in a room, all of those things were designed by the industry that I'm in. And finally, when I broke out of that was when my career took off. I was like, you know what? This deep raspiness, this is what I got. This is it.
So that's what I was gonna get to, and the same for me now. I will say, like you, because I started in magazines so young. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I started interning when I was a sophomore in college, and so I kept all those relationships, and that's also how I landed my first job at Oprah right
Mm-hmm.
after college. 3 weeks after I graduated, or 4 weeks after I graduated, I think I took a couple of weeks off, and started working there. And I would show up in these spaces and be mindful of how I was supposed to be, but always knew within me that I just was me. And
Yeah.
I always felt a little bit of a conflict. There were some people that embraced me fully. I think about Carrie Diamond, who was then at Women's Wear Daily and Beauty Biz, and then later became the editor of at Bazaar. There and Mickey Taylor. There were some people that really embraced me as I was. Um, and that gave me confidence. But I do think that what you said about getting to the place of being like really who you are and having the clarity of self is that's when God moves in a different way. God moves differently because God is saying, now you honor who I made you to be,
Right.
not the title that anyone else is trying to put on you. You're honoring, and so when you honor who I made you to be, you're honoring God,
Yeah.
right? That's acceptance. That's saying like, here's the gift. You're clear. You got the gift. You unbox the gift. The gift is good. You put the gift on. Now you're wearing. Now it's like, all right, so sis, you like that? You like that gift? You like that look? Let me give you more of this look. And then we begin to get ushered into other things. But I do think that a lot of women, in the conversations that I had, both in Morning Mindset and especially at the hike and experience, is that a lot of women are still trying to reconcile for themselves, what does my authentic self look like? How do I get to my authentic self, especially after so many years of packing on the layers and the titles and the assignments of other people? And it's funny, Jazz, in my opinion, it's connected to that childlike spirit, that before we knew some of the things that affected us,
Mhm.
and even with our particular stories. I was born to teen parents, right? And so I also carry some of those things. But before that, I think to the 4-year-old me, I think to the 5-year-old me, or even if it's not a specific age, maybe it was a specific experience where you felt most light and
Mhm.
most connected and present and just being. And those elements of what you feel during those time, I believe, are the guide points for you to understand who you are and your authenticity,
Oh,
right?
without question. I think a lot of that goes back to, I always say that it's about remembering who you were before the trauma. And
Yep.
trauma can be anything. It doesn't have to be something as heinous as rape, or it
Mhm.
could be anything. It can be blunt force trauma, metaphorically speaking, or it could be, something that someone said to you that you never forgot. Why are you so tall? Or, oh, your feet are so big. All of those things you carry with you, right? And so I always feel like we as adults really are just larger versions of our childlike self. And I think we, now this is my opinion. I think we always remember and know who we are. I think the difficult part is having the courage to go back to it, because it seems like there will be such a sacrifice of
Mhm.
what you have to give up. Will I have to give up these friends who thought I was this or that? Will I have to give up this guy who thought I was this or that? Or this job if they find out I'm not really this or that? It's really having the courage to step out on who you know you are on the inside. Because I don't care how much you fake, you can dress a car up however you want to, like a Benz, but when you get inside that bitch, this is a Toyota, honey. This is not a Benz. I don't even know.
It ain't the same. It ain't the same.
I feel all these bumps when I'm driving. What's happening? So I think we are like that. I think if we have the courage to
Mhm.
take the Mercedes medallion off when we know it ain't there, to be able to say, you know what, this is just who I, and it's not easy. That's the thing. And I think that's why it's hard to say, people feel more comfortable saying, I don't remember who I am. No, you do. It's just
Mhm.
uncomfortable. It's
Uncomfortable.
literally having to separate yourself from trying to be who the world wants you to be. And in some cases, trying to be who your family wants you to be. They want you to be the stone. They want you to be the provider. Where your husband? Where them babies? What's going on? They want you to be all of these things. And to be able to separate yourself from that and say, no, I am who God intended me to be. I remember who I am, but do I have the courage to say it out loud?
And listen, that was good. That was a whole word. And I think the idea of remembering, knowing, and then leaning into it and being, like you said, courageous enough to be like, that doesn't work. That's not it. That's not it. Here's where it is. And it's something that's also where woman and woman, that's where sisterhood comes in. Because, you need people that are going to help you honor exactly who you are and then hold you accountable to it.
What?
It was
Did
hold hold
Ty?
you.
That's not you. What you doing? That's not you. What are you doing? If
What's
you're not,
good?
if you're not saying that to me, and but see that I'm telling you, you think I'm kidding. When you said no, but I saw it in your swagger, and I said, yeah, you need a friend like that in your corner, because you need somebody who's not afraid to say, okay, I don't know who you think you are right now,
But baby,
but this ain't it.
baby,
Yeah,
and
that
and
don't
and
fit you.
that's why and it's funny. I've been talking to a friend of mine and just helping to explain. I was like, because I'm a connector and a collector, they're rings, right? I'm saying the Saturn rings of friendship, and actually, my ex boyfriend helped. He was like, I want to understand like how this person fits here and where this person goes and what have you. But here's what I promise, and you said this earlier, is so important in relationships, especially with one another, is that you show up as you are for who you are. And then, how that person receives it, whether or not that's the person that you, like you said, you do all the travel with, you but it has to be that part of you that is your truth, right? And I'm so grateful because I'm like, I'm so clear now. There is no Tai Beauchamp being, there is no imposter anything. I did a corporate conversation with LinkedIn the other day for a room of Black women, Black executives, which was fabulous on Zoom. And I talk about God the same way I would. I talk about, like, I'm not holding back shit at this point. I
Mm-mm.
talk about, the vulnerability of me kind of like moving through and trying to heal my relationship with my mom. And obviously, never in a way to incriminate anyone
Of
else,
course.
because my intention is always pure. And I have to check my intention. Even as I speak, I'm checking my intention. But like, so if a cuss word, like, it's what it is. Now, because I think also where we are is that we have to realize if our intentions are pure and we're not hurting anyone and we're not intending to hurt anyone, I can't reserve parts of who I am. And I
Yeah.
don't want to. I don't want to, because actually the less I reserve, the more I love me, the more I appreciate me, the more I feel like I'm able to really operate and live on purpose, and
Yes.
also, um, it's more impact.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the other thing,
you
and
know,
I'll tell you this. This is how I've learned to look at it. It's two things that made me keenly aware. Well, one, I came to at my on my own accord, and the second I got from somebody else. The first thing I thought about, and full transparency, thinking about the deaths of both of my mothers, they
mhm,
died having never lived, and I thought, like, my mama that raised me, my adopted mother, she never got to know joy. She just never did.
mhm,
She was always in a constant state of what other people thought about her. And so everything had to be pristine and she needed a new this and a new that. But I, being on the inside of the house, knew she was not happy. And then she died. My biological mother, the same thing.
mhm,
She worked and worked and worked and worked, and by the time she retired from New York State, she had these big dreams, but she died before she could collect a check. I'm like, so you
mhm.
you did all of that, but you never lived because you were so concerned about other things. And so I began to think,
Yeah.
so if I'm, what am I saving up my authentic self for? Who am I
Girl,
saving it
how about
for? Like, what am I saving this
how about
for? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, what if I don't get to use it? Okay, so I bought this new outfit and I'm trying to wait for the right time. Well, what if I don't make it to the right time? So the time must be
mm,
now. That was the first thing. The second thing, I saw Dion Cole's stand up on Netflix. And he said, he was teasing Jennifer Lewis about something, her age. And she said, don't disrespect my summers. I only have so many summers left. And I begin to think, wow, if you look at it like that, how many summers do I have left? Because everybody knows summer go fast, right?
fast, right? Exactly.
So
Right.
if I only got 30 summers left, well, wait a minute. Hold up. I can't waste time. I ain't got but 30 summers. And 30 will come quick. And I begin to think, okay, so you know what? All of this me that I'm holding on to for the right time to release the
Yes.
Kraken. No, we finna release this
Snap.
bitch right now. She got some stuff to do. So I'm gonna dance how I want to, and either you fit in or you fit out. Either you can double dutch with me or you can watch me move, but I'm not gonna stop moving because I ain't got but 30 summers left.
I double dutch. Do you double dutch?
I don't, but you could teach me.
Well,
I
we gonna get you. Maybe it's something we could add at the hike and
add it.
experience,
I'll
like a
come.
little
Let me
double.
tell you something. I'm one of those people. I don't believe there's anything I can't do. I believe anything you put in front of me, I can do it. Anything. I went golfing with DL twice. I'd never golfed in my life. I watched him golf. I didn't take lessons. I went out and bought a set of golf clubs and could
And you
drive the
just did it.
ball easily 200 yards like I've been playing it my whole
No,
life. Can shoot, have
how?
shot
Wait,
as low as a 90.
how did you get your form? Because that's where the form thing
You know
just don't
what? I
work
was
for
a
me. You just hit.
softball player. I was a softball player.
Okay.
So I knew about swing, I knew about timing. I'm a natural athlete. There's nothing I can't do. I had a guy who stopped dating me because I beat him in pool, but I'd never played before. I'm one of those people.
Well,
I'm a quick study. I'm like, just show me one or two times, I got it. The only thing I can't do is sing. I've been trying.
well, that's a different level of gift.
Yeah, it
And
is.
and
I
I'm
can't do that.
and I'm with you. I can sing at karaoke and I can sing in the shower. And when one of my girlfriends, who's a singer, hears me sing, she said, "Ty, don't." She was like, she's like, "You do a lot of things well,
But that ain't
but
one of them.
baby, that is that is not done."
That is
So
not
then
it.
you can totally hike then,
I'm gonna do
Jasmine.
it. Put my name
You can
down.
totally.
I'm gonna do it. I'm going to do it. Now I might have a little tequila in my bag just in case I need to cut the edge off. No, I'm just kidding. Ty, I love
Well,
you.
I
I
love you
love
back.
you so
Let me.
much.
What else can I do to support you at this
You
season?
know
Like, what
what?
do you need?
So I
Yeah.
want to talk to other women. I'm really trying to start a network of of just like-minded women who believe that, I don't want anything from you. I really want your joy. I want to share in that. I'm not asking
Love that.
for, to connect myself to you for any other purpose other than to say, if you need me, and I extend
Mhm.
this to you. I've said this before, and I really mean it. If there is anything that I can ever do, and not looking for anything in return for me, if it will help push a positive agenda, write my name down. I have always
That's
been
how I
that kind
feel.
of person. I will show up. I'm not going to show up and act like I don't know. That's not what I do. If you see me in the street, I'm like, hey, girl, yeah, I remember you. I'm that kind of person. And so for me, it is really about connecting to other people. I'd love to talk to Egypt. The one thing about Egypt that she probably doesn't remember, she and I worked at BLS together. She actually took my spot. Didn't take it. Let me take that back. Not that. I don't mean it that way. Meaning when they didn't renew my contract, they brought her in. So she and
I
I
love
know
that.
we are radio
Yes.
adjacent. Like we worked in the same market. I was in New York for probably, well, I lived there for 14 years, but I worked at the station for maybe
This
5.
is the thing. I knew all of
Yeah,
who you were because I was there. Like I know. I
yeah.
get it.
So
Get it.
people like that, if you know people that you can push in my direction to add to this woman to woman, and maybe we can later on connect it in some kind of way where it becomes a big thing. Because I really
I
do
really
want to start a movement.
You got to come to the hike. I'm telling it happens organically and naturally there. And I have been so I was on the call earlier with one of our partners who is works as a tech partnership and trying to figure out ways that we can actually leverage the platform to build community on the app as well because these women connect and when I tell you they connect over everything like oh I went through a divorce recently I'm looking for a divorce attorney over to I need an accountant or I just need community and I just need
Yeah,
someone to listen and like it is powerful what is happening at this and I'm truly overwhelmed and humbled because and this is no accident that's why we're speaking right now because what God and universe is saying to us right now is that what we're trying to do matters and that's why we're connecting
that is
this is how we
exactly it.
amp
Yeah.
pros this is how we magnify it and so I'm here for it Jasmine I am absolutely here I love you I am proud of you I am
Oh,
proud of you and that goes because also like the reality is that as we evolve and like you said some people never change and begin to focus on like what it is I really want the
yeah,
joy how I really get there and ask ourselves and ask like and just some of us just stay in the shit some of
yeah.
us just like sitting in shit
And
and
not
we
and
stay
not
there
caring about the stench.
girl I listen what I am clear about I want to be used fully joyfully
See,
I
I love
love
that.
you this
I
was
love you too,
great
Ty. We definitely have to do this again. I'm definitely going to continue this. So, any women that you can send my way, that would be wonderful to speak with. Because I think it's a lot like if a tree falls in the woods and nobody hears it or see it, did it really fall? And so, I feel the same way about this. I feel like the hike and knowing that this kind of thing is happening all the time, but sometimes I might miss it. And so I want to be able to have other ways to hear other people so I don't feel like I'm out here, I'm the only one feeling like this, or I'm the only one who needs red cups, or I'm the only one who need. It's good to know that other people need some of the, you just, because you can't get red cups, just saying.
Yep, yep,
You get
yep.
it.
I mean, we already know. Well, you can count on me to do that. I can't wait
Yay.
to share this, and that'll be one of the ways. I think once this is done and I share it, I'll say, I really think I'm going to tag some people and say, I think you guys should
I think
connect
that
on
would
this.
be amazing. See, I love you, Ty. Listen, I wish you well. Now I got to go fight with DL on the show. But I got you on my back. So I'm like, Newark came in with me today. So
Tell them I said, hey, love and
I will,
blessings to you
baby.
guys.